Alright, one final update on the dead on arrival ender. Guess what? I got it working. I was thinking, you know, of all these axes, apart from the extruder, the y-axis needs to work the hardest. So it would make sense that they would use a higher current and therefore a higher torque motor. So what I did was, you know, that double winding in there and all that seemed to make a lot of sense. What I did was I went to just go ahead and, well, let me turn off the steppers there. I went to change the wiring here on the y-axis to go ahead and twist those two that were, you know, apparently transposed. And what I found was they were already twisted. So all I did, and I'm sure you can't actually see that on camera, all I did was I just made sure that the wires going into the stepper were in order, just like you can see right here. And the twist was hidden from me underneath the tag on the y-axis. But actually, you know what? I can actually feel there is a twist right there. So when I pinch that, it doesn't go flat. You see that raised wire? So these are deliberately crossed over. So essentially, I guess, no, it wasn't doubly fixed. I guess I did have to do a mod to fix it. So I uncrossed those wires, and it's good to go. And I took resistance measurements. This guy came in at about 2.1 ohms. The Z and X came in at 6 ohms, and the extruder, I believe, was, I can't recall for certain, but it was somewhere kind of in the middle. So anyway, I can feel these are crossed over too. So there we have it. I now have a working printer. So if you get your Ender 2 and the y-axis motor just kind of stutters and doesn't move, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take this wire harness off and obviously disconnect the power from the machine and very carefully remove the wires from the harness. And you can do that with a fine screwdriver and very carefully lifting those little plastic tabs. You start at one side and lift the tab just enough to get that pin to slide back just a little. And then you move on to the next one, get that slide back just a little, and the next one. And your life will probably be, you could probably do it by just removing 3, but don't try to just remove the middle 2. And it might be easier to just remove them all. But it's probably not necessary. And then when you put them back in, again, just insert them all just barely, and then tighten them down, you know, and then really tighten them, you know, latch them in one at a time. So that's how I managed to fix my Ender printer. Oh yeah, and the reason why the X motor was not appearing to work correctly was when I tested it, I had the limit switch disconnected, so of course it thought the switch was pressed. No matter how far I moved it, it thought it was still pressed. And the extruder, I got trolled by Marlin again. I always seem to forget that Marlin has protections and you cannot manually advance the extruder using the knob controls if the hot end is cold. So I heated up the hot end and the extruder worked just fine. Yeah, what a day. Anyways, have a good one. Hope this helps.